Hey y'all, welcome back to a high school athlete nutrition podcast. This is Katie and Steph here, and today we are doing a fun, different topic of wisdom teeth removal and nutrition for this period of life that nobody wants to do, but we all have to go through. Before we get started, though, I actually wanted to point out something fun that Stephanie has gotten. Steph, can you tell us about this awesome sign?
Oh my God. Yeah. So, for those of you who don't know, if you come to my office, I moved my office back in March. And one of my new suite mates who has an office in the same thing was like, it would be so cool if you had a neon sign. And I was like, yeah. So I got a neon sign and it's finally here and it says fuel your game. And I love it because it goes along with like the fuel her game workshops that I do pretty often. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I love my neon sign and it's so cool because there's different colors and it just makes the office more fun. And I feel like when you come to work with a dietitian, it should be fun. Let's not be crazy about nutrition. Let's just keep it simple. I love that. In my old office, when I used to work at a university, I actually had a fish tank because that was kind of fun. It just was a topic of conversation. I don't know. I just like fun things. Speaking of responsibility, let's talk about this topic because like wisdom teeth is something that I see all the time with athletes. And it's like they don't expect it to be as hard as it is, or they think will be able to eat through. So I'm looking forward to talking about this.
Yeah, me too. And I think it's so timely, right? It's something that I feel like we all wait to do in the summer break because we don't have school. You're not missing out on school. But also, a lot of our athletes, when summer break is happening, now they're doing like strength training or cross training, or like our summer teams are now training like 2 or 3 times a day already. So, how do we kind of mix that
Hmm.
in with fueling for your sport, but also taking a break? But I also agree, most of my athletes are surprised at how long this recovery time is.
Yeah, I had mine taken out in college. And I remember doing it over it might have been like spring break or fall break, but like a week or so break and being like, it'll be plenty of time for recovery. I had chipmunk face for like a month. I was so swollen and it hurt so badly. But I have other athletes who I work with who recover in a couple days, and it's so different for everybody.
Yeah. One of the things that a nurse told me with wisdom teeth that I think is so important to talk about is that, like, you're having a procedure done, your jaw is going to be sore. Just like every other procedure you have, we're having to use that muscle and it's going to be tired. But, like, you need to keep doing it. And when we don't do it,
Yeah.
then that doesn't help you recover faster. It just kind of like makes the jaw hurt more.
Yeah, yeah, fueling is definitely important, and it's gonna change as the day goes on in what you need and how your pain level is. But the other thing too is the surgery itself is just different for everybody. Like some people go under anesthesia, some people do local anesthetic, like power to you, couldn't be me. Um, some people like have really impacted wisdom teeth, so it's really a bit unpredictable. It really just changes from person to person. So, what would you recommend as like a foundational thing to start with when they're in recovery? Like what should they focus on, or really what should they prepare before they go into surgery?
I think when we're talking about foundations, it's still hitting on those macronutrients or the big categories of like protein, carbs. Those categories are going to be what helps your body to recover and heal. So I think starting with carbs and starting with the easy to digest carbs that are going to be soft and easy to chew. I'm thinking like pasta meals or like your overnight oats. Are there any ideas that you have that go along with that?
Yeah, I love the idea of pasta and even cooking it like not al dente, but like a little bit on the mush side the first couple of days can be really helpful, just depending on, like Katie said, like your jaw can be really tender. So just depending on how tender your mouth is. But yeah, pasta is a really, really great one. I even love like a pancake or a French toast.
Mm,
You can make a protein or a yogurt, like a pancake with yogurt in it or protein powder to up that protein a little bit. Or French toast, you think about like it's soaking up the egg. That's another great way to get an extra protein in a soft way there. I'm also a huge fan of breakfast food. So anything like that is
mhm.
really, really helpful. But yeah, soft and simple and kind of along the carb lines, applesauce. It's technically a
Yes.
fruit, but A great way to get in extra carbs, really soft, really simple, and a smoothie too, actually, would be a good one.
And what I love about smoothies too is like you can mix in some of these things as well, of like mixing in the oats. We could bulk up the protein with yogurt, protein powder. So we're adding this in, but still making the texture easy. And remember not to use your straw. Using the spoon or just like normally drinking it. I've had multiple athletes who just like straight up forgot. And
Yeah.
so that's unfortunate every time.
Yeah. So more of a smoothie bowl, make it a thicker smoothie so you can scoop it. Plus, having
Hmm.
that coldness hit your mouth helps a little bit too. A little swelling.
Another carb too, we haven't even talked about potatoes, sweet potatoes,
Yeah,
like the
mashed
food of my heart.
potatoes.
Hmm. You may love breakfast foods, but potatoes are every day where my heart is.
No, I'm totally with you. I actually we've been in a mashed potato kick in my house recently. So like I made them in we 1 week and then my husband was like, we should make them again. I was like, don't tell me twice. Got it. So yeah, mashed potatoes is another great one, or even like a refried bean or a mashed bean can be really, really helpful. Hummus is another good one, like a dip. Um, so yeah, lots of options when it comes to just getting in some good carbs, and like the beans also have protein, which is great. So talk to me, like what would be your top two softer protein options?
Softer protein options. I am a big fan of yogurt and dairy products. Most of them are drinkable, most of them are very soft. Even if you're getting like a cheddar cheese, it's still not crunchy and as much chewing. So I know it's not two, but like dairy products across the board is probably my favorite go-to.
Yeah, I would agree because you could make a yogurt bowl or even a cottage cheese bowl and then melt down some frozen fruit. Now you're
Hmm.
getting antioxidants. Now you're getting some more fiber, which helps just with movement of your bowels and helps with, poops. So I think all of those things are really helpful. I love the idea of dairy as a foundation, to even adding to a smoothie, adding into pancakes, that sort of stuff is great. Scrambled eggs being another one, a soft cooked egg.
Mm, yes.
Hmm.
And once again, eggs are another food that is like you can do so many different variations of eggs, whether it's doing it as scrambled, doing it as a fried egg.
Yeah. I have an opinion on this, but what have your athletes done around like maybe like a fish or more of think of more of like a whole protein, like animal based proteins, I think like fish or like a pulled chicken or pulled pork. Like how do your athletes manage that?
Yeah, I would say that as we're getting into like our pulled foods, we are probably getting like 3 to 4 days out or further. I am a big fan of like the soft, like the fish, the pulled chicken, because I also think that this goes into like getting back to more like normal foods as well. But I also would say that it might be that you have a smaller portion of it and you're eating more frequently across the day so that you're getting some of these softer, easier proteins, but then we're just eating more often in order to get the amount that you need.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think like consistency with protein is what's most important. And I like the
Hmm.
idea of adding in some of these like softer but more chewy proteins like day 2, 3, 4, 5 as your jaw like has just gotten a little bit less tender and you're able to chew things more completely. Because the other thing is we don't just want you swallowing things whole, remembering that chewing is the first part of digestion. So we want you to be able to chew if you can't chew, then puree it or make it soft. And then what about soups?
Mm. Soups. Soups are perfect. You could do like a soft chicken noodle soup where you're getting still the texture of those noodles and it's got a little chicken, but they're small pieces. Those are great. But also, once again, let's go back to the dairy products and how much we love them, is that doing like a cream-based soup, whether it's a potato soup that has some like heavy whipping cream or some milk in it, or doing like a butternut squash soup. I have been recently really loving Panera has soups like the pre-made ones. Oh my word. When I'm sick, sold. Like just bring me 5 of them. That's all I need.
Yeah, I love soup. It's one of my favorite foods, especially in like the winter. Even in summer, like I'll make soups and freeze them and pull them out whenever I need them. But yeah, no, soups are really, really great. When remembering you're only doing this for a few days, ideally you're back on real food within like a week or so. But starting with like the soft of the soft, so like yogurt, cottage cheese, and then transitioning more to like the pulled meats, and then getting more into like a ground beef and a ground turkey, and kind of transitioning back to that full meal. But yeah, the key is you're hitting all the fuel sources. So you're adding in protein, you're adding in carb, you're adding in fats, you've got your color on the plate, you're adding foods that have calcium and vitamin D, you're hitting all those nutrients because you're still an athlete and you want to maintain your muscle for that week of recovery. And then when you get back to the field, court, or pool, you're just as strong and energized.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, one of the categories we haven't really talked on much, which I would say like isn't going to be my go-to, like this is the most important, but I think we'd be crazy to not talk about the importance of fruits and vegetables too, that fiber to keep you regular as everything else in your life has kind of changed. And also if you do get an infection, you get put on antibiotics, the fiber in those fruits and veggies is really important. And I'm thinking, you said like the frozen, that fruit that's like thawed out, great, but also like your canned fruits. Those are typically a softer type of fruit as well. I would lean more into fruit because I think it still tastes better, whereas softer veggies are not always as appetizing.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. But there's a lot that you can do when it comes to wisdom teeth. And then the next thing is like cleanliness. So just making sure that you're staying hydrated, keeping that area clean, follow your doctor's recommendations on everything you need, because if you want to get back to practice ASAP, stay fueled, but then also follow all of your doctor's cleaning recommendations and follow-ups in terms of that stuff.
Yeah. So I want to tell you a funny story of when I had my wisdom teeth taken out. So I didn't know coming home how sensitive I was to numbing. And to this day, they will numb me and I will be numb far more hours than is normal. And so I had been home for like 8 hours at this point, and my mom was like, well, let's just try some food. And this was probably the first time I'd ever been numbed in my life. So I had no idea. I took a bite of the mashed potatoes and I'm sticking my tongue out and I'm like, is it there? Did I do anything? And I couldn't tell if I had swallowed the mashed potatoes, where they were in my mouth. And at that point, my mom was like, oh my gosh, like she's going to aspirate. This is not good. It was fine. But it turned out that I wasn't ready to eat yet. So I also think this is just like a story to understand that like everybody's going to be ready at different times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that first 24 hours, don't stress. There's nothing to be worried about.
Yeah, this is where you see all those like funny videos online of like parents taking pictures or videos of their kids coming out of anesthesia or numbing and that sort of stuff. But yeah, definitely a solid story. I'm sure one your mom tells often. I love it. Any final tips for athletes who are having their wisdom teeth out? Like what would you leave them with?
Yeah, I think I would say that remember it's going to be uncomfortable. You're having a surgery and a procedure done, and like to kind of push yourself when you can. Don't do anything till like actual pain, but like it's going to be uncomfortable and you're going to get through it. You have to keep eating, even if you don't want to.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly right. Great advice. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us on the High School Athlete Nutrition Podcast, talking about something different, but wisdom teeth absolutely impacts how you eat, what you're eating, and when you're eating. So if you're having this surgery, if you know someone who's having their wisdom teeth out, please share it with them. And until next time, athletes, happy fueling.